Donald Trump won the election in 2016, as you predicted. Most polls showed the opposite. Do you think that he'll win in 2024?
That's a great question. The 2016 call, and I was, the polls were, it wasn't just most polls, I think it was every poll, but you were being modest. But Hillary was anywhere between 92 and 95% probability. The polls, the betting odds, the pundits, everything. I was on Bloomberg Live before the election with their top political analyst, and Francine Lacqua, great the anchor, she was moderating the discussion, and she turned to the Bloomberg guy and said, "How's it going to go?" And he said, "Oh, well, in 1992, when Bill Clinton was elected, we were all in bed by 10:30. That was over." He said, "This time we'll be in bed by 10 o'clock. This will be like a slam dunk. It'll be over in the East. We won't have to stay up for California and all that." And Francine turned to me and she goes, "Jim, what do you think?" I said, "Donald Trump's going to win." And just the category. And then she goes, "Is that because the polls are wrong or because the turnout's going to be high?" I said, "Both. The polls are wrong. Here's how. And turnout is going to be higher than expected." So I took her through it. Like, her face, very, very bright lady, but her face turned white and her jaw dropped. But we got that right. But it wasn't, to me, it wasn't that difficult, because all you had to do was look at the polls, and she was about 2 to 3% ahead, but that's enough to win. But the polls were badly skewed. They were oversampling Democrats. Within the Democrat oversample, they were oversampling African Americans, who vote 90% Democrats. So they weren't just including too many Democrats, but they were including more than the proportionate number of African Americans, which skews it even more. Everyone vote for who you want. I'm not blaming the voters. I'm blaming the pollsters for doing what they were doing. But if you knew that, and you knew how polling works, and I've done polling on presidential campaigns, so I do know how it works, you can reverse engineer it and say, well, what is the real number once you adjust for these skews? And I was seeing Trump 1 to 2 points ahead. It was like kind of a 4 to 5 point skew, and she had a 3-point lead. So Trump was actually 2 points ahead. There were other things going on. So that was, it wasn't just guesswork. It was kind of analytical, but nobody seemed to make the effort. So anyway, 2024. Much, much closer, much more difficult to predict. And here's why. Trump's base is as solid as they come. You can't, like a real MAGA Republican Trump supporter, you can't change his mind or her mind. Forget it. But it's 40% of the country. Well, that's a big percentage, but it's not enough to win. You need, the technical math is, you need 50 plus a fraction percent in a set of states that add up to 270 electoral votes. It's not even 50% of the country. You can lose the country, but if you get a winning margin, 50% plus one in a set of states that have 270 electoral votes, you win. And so 40% is not 50%, even in, so Trump will easily take places like Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, et cetera, many other states. But and he'll never, ever, ever get California, New York, or Massachusetts, or another state. So you take all those pieces off the chessboard, you're down to about 10 states. And when it's close, now I said 40% of the people will support Trump no matter what. That's true. But 40% of the people hate Trump. They hate his guts. And it doesn't matter what he does or what he says or what his policies are. And he has a lot of policy successes. And particularly, we seem to have a problem in America with college-educated white women, 30, 40, 50 years old. I don't know, they went to the wrong schools and they got brainwashed somewhere along the way. There's nothing you can do to get them to vote for Trump. Their husband could be unemployed. They could be unemployed. And they still wouldn't vote for Trump. So you get down to this really, really close election. Now, look at the other side. Let's assume it's Joe Biden. In 2020, they kept him in the basement. If he's not out in public, he's probably on a table getting a blood transfusion or injections just to kind of prop him up. I'm serious, prop him up for the next speech. But how are you going to do the basement strategy again without COVID? I don't know. Maybe they'll have to get the Chinese to release a new virus. But so it's not clear that that'll work. And Biden's popularity rates are really low. I mean, it's one thing to say you're below 50%, which is not good for an incumbent president, but he's like 40, 38 on a bad day. So you've got a candidate that half the country hates no matter what he does. And you have another candidate who can't stand up and finish a sentence. But I'm a baby boomer, but I'm like sick of baby boomers. Like, just doesn't mean if you're doesn't mean you have to curl up in a ball and die, but go do something else. You don't have to. But Nancy Pelosi is 83, Bernie Sanders is 82, Biden just turned 80, Donald Trump is going to be 76 next year. I mean, can we get some 40 and 50-year-olds to run the country? I mean, what's wrong with us? Anyway, that's what we got. So I would have to say it's a very close election. And I'm not punting. I'm just giving you the best analysis I can. So, but don't, if you said, could Biden win? I'd say, yeah, he could. I'm not predicting that. It's too soon, but he could win. Now, what are the wild cards? Because they always say, the reason you don't predict in politics is because 1 week is a lifetime. And that's true. Um, Biden, if you want to scare yourself, watch Joe Biden on TV and hit the mute button. Just watch him without sound. It's 10 times scarier than anything he says. He's because sound is a distraction. Well, it's just a different sensory channel. He's frail. He shuffles. He can't open a door. He can't get up and down a flight of steps. He's shaking hands with invisible objects. But when you turn the sound off and don't have the moderator or the anchor or the president himself, it's really scary. So you wish everyone well. I wish for his sake he would just be home with his family, but you can't rule out that he's possibly dying. So let's put that on the table. Ron DeSantis is not going away. DeSantis and Trump are the only candidates with more than single-digit support in the polls. DeSantis hasn't even declared, but Nikki Haley, Mike Pompeo, I don't know, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, Christy Noem, they all get like 1 to 2%. And then Trump's close to 40 and DeSantis is close to 30 on numbers. So we'll see how that plays out. But DeSantis hasn't even declared, hasn't even started to run. So who knows what's going to happen there. Trump's a criminal defendant. I happen to think the indictment was a disgrace lawyer, among other things. The indictment was a disgrace. It's an abuse of law, but there it is. So as if investors didn't have enough to worry about with market volatility, we've got political volatility as well.